All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the Side Seat Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Victor Martinez. Today we are here with the Pride of Barstow, Jake Turner, and Mr. Eric Nesbitt here, or Nez for short. And today, our special guest is Tony Carducci from West Music.
All right.
The as he liked to say, the guitar luthier. I'm just gonna say you're a guitar wizard. So, well, thank you for joining us, man.
No
We're
problem,
excited,
man. This is cool.
We know you kind of interact on the page, and that's pretty awesome, man. So, real quick before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Pay the bills, man. We got the pool man, Mark Reedy. For all your above and below ground pool needs, make sure you call 309-292-8486. He'll take care of you real good there. And also our sponsor, Rolling Smoke Barbecue up at Kavanaugh's on the hilltop there in Rock Island, 14th Avenue, right across from the PepsiCo Center, man. They got some good deals going each day of the week, and hopefully we'll get back up there and they'll have another burger basket deal for us. So
we're hoping for the Lucifuge burger to be created by Mr. Mitchell Woods. If anybody can do it, Mitchell Woods can do it.
Yes, he can. So we're hoping for that, man. We really want to get that burger going. So, but yeah, man. So it's been a pretty interesting week. I know. I think I posted on the Side C thing the other day. It was Free Comic Book Day yesterday, but that doesn't stop me. I always got to have my music when I'm flipping through. It makes things so much easier and makes me concentrate. So I like to incorporate music with comics too, and you get a lot of cool projects that come out of that. I know there was an Iron Maiden comic. Danzig wrote his own set of books and all that good stuff. So.
And we can't forget about our buddy Gene Simmons and Kiss's comic book.
Oh yeah. Next thing you know, it's gonna be Kiss Meet Scooby Doo. So.
Yeah, it was. I think wasn't it? Right? There was a cartoon. It was a cartoon.
Recently,
recently a TV special. Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. But hey, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news, man. Did you guys see about that Five Finger Death Punch fight?
Yes.
I think it popped up on my feed. That's where I saw it from. I didn't get to read a lot of it, but that is crazy from what I hear. Like, what was they walked off?
They had like an Oasis moment.
Okay. There you go. That's all you have to say. Oasis.
Yeah. There were a couple of videos I saw. From the drummer wrote a book. The lead singer got pissed off because he wasn't part of it or something like that. The drummer threw his drumsticks at the lead singer, walked off stage. Then the guitar players followed. So just left the lead singer up there doing a cappella versions of songs, and he got handed
metal songs.
Yeah, a cappella version.
Jesus.
And then he was on stage like trying to play the drums, like while singing. He had like the microphone up to him really close and trying to play the drums. It was.
Was he playing Boats and Hose?
He needed to do something because the crowd was pissed.
I'm sure they were.
They only played like 5 songs.
They have a weird following. They're really popular for some reason.
Some reason.
I mean, I don't mind them.
It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I don't go out of my way to listen.
What do you think, Tony? What's your assessment
Ooh,
of Five Finger Death Punch?
Not a fan.
All right. Neither am I. So
yeah, I mean,
it's just not.
They don't trip any triggers for me at all.
Yeah. Right.
Do you think maybe they've just gotten a big argument about who was going to get the last burger or something?
I don't know if they get back on. I don't know if they played the next night they were supposed to or not. I don't know how that went. I think they did. I mean, it happens.
Hey,
bands fight on stage all the time.
I mean, like you said, Oasis moments.
Yeah.
Well, they're called Five Finger Death Punch. I mean, what are you going to get with Five Finger Death Punch? You're going to get a fight sooner.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
That or a hockey game, one of the two.
Yeah.
Which we are big fans of. So
Speak for yourself.
yeah.
Hey, hockey's entertaining.
So, anyways, I mean, that kind of bridges into kind of more shenanigans on stage with Scott Weidland. You guys see that?
Yeah, I'm a huge Scott Weiland fan, and
Yeah.
it's just really sad to see. Because you can tell he's messed up again. I don't
Yeah.
care what anybody says. It's not for lack of being, having to do those songs in front of like a crowd of like 300 people. He's messed up again, and whether it's not because his guitar player just died or whatever, it's just sad. He's such a great performer when he's sober. But,
that could be it. I mean, what do you think, Eric? I mean, do you think the emotions got to him? Or?
I don't. When it comes to that guy, talent, and he's played in some really good bands, but it's just the same things. And it's been going on for now, we're looking at 20 plus years.
Since the first STP album.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember who he shot up with. I just read an interview about it. The first reason, they're on tour with somebody, he decided to shoot up just to try it. That was all it wrote. That's all it was.
Well, in like we know about the Stone Temple Pilots. He's in Stone Temple Pilots. He's out of Stone.
Yeah.
But the thing that's been kind of unique about that whole situation with Stone Temple Pilots, every time they lose him to addiction or wherever he goes, they spawn new bands or new experiments with him, which end up, I think, to be pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean, you lose a little bit. I just hope he gets himself healthy.
Yeah, because this seems to be a problem with him, like regularly now. I mean, not every day regularly, but every couple of years.
It's just one of those things when it comes to addicts. You're never completely healed. You're always an addict, no matter what it is. I mean, when Janie Lane OD'd on pills and vodka, I mean, he was sober for I don't know, at the time, 2 or 3 months, which isn't a long time, but for him it was. And then the same thing, he's going to end up dead in a hotel just like Janie and Lane Staley. Yeah. It's going to be the same freaking thing with him if he doesn't get his shit straight.
Tony, are you a fan of the STP?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the DeLeo brothers.
90s, yep.
Yeah, I mean, they're a pretty legendary band that just kind of hangs around. So, also, we got some pretty interesting gigs coming up. The one that kind of shocked me the most was Corey Taylor coming to Ribco down here in Rock Island. That kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, what the hell? And 24 hours later, boom, tickets are gone. Yeah. Man.
I think it's great getting big names in such a small venue like that. I think it's really cool. I think it's good for the community.
Now, it's spoken word, partially a spoken word thing.
It's going to be, from what I read, it's going to be him reading parts of his book, playing songs, and answering questions. It's going to be like a Q&A. I think it's like a huge Slipknot fan or Stone Sour fan. It's like their wet dream. I mean, you're going to be able to have a one-on-one interaction with Corey Taylor at Ribco.
Venue.
At Ribco. It's not like you're talking to him at the Metro or something in Chicago or anything bigger than that. He's going to be sitting at Ribco. I mean, not a bad seat in the house because there's no seats. You know what
exactly, I mean? Yeah, no seats, and then even if you're far back a little bit, you can still see the stage, and if you go upstairs.
It's a good place to play.
So, I mean, I've been to plenty of shows there, and I would like to see more of that, and better names. I mean, like I said, I always say, I'm still bummed out that I missed the Slick Rick show there. So, and I'm legit about that. I'm a big hip hop fan, so that would have been awesome to see. But there have been some other good bands that I wish could come back, or I even tried getting, mentioning on the Doyle page and the Ribco page, bring Doyle, he's looking for bookings, but
I've always thrown stuff out of Jason Paris to try to get, the Fratellis. Would have been awesome if they'd ever come over here again.
Well, they got the Melbourne show in July.
I did see that.
So I'm
That's
definitely
awesome.
going to try to make that one. So, also, Pride of Barstow here. You got an exciting one coming up this week.
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, it's 3 Years Hollow and Sugar Nipples at Rascals, and they got As Big as a Mouse as support, and also my buddies from high school, a band called Remember My Name. It's three of the 4 guys I've known for over 15 years, and they just got something going, and it's really cool. So I'm gonna go down there, throw in my $10, and show a little support because
local music.
You got to,
And you, Tony, you see a lot of these musicians come through, right?
Every day.
Text for them and stuff. So what is it like to kind of see these shows that pretty much like over half of the people playing in them?
It's just a big, huge. I don't know. It's a lot of friends. That's the best way I can explain it. Growing up in South Florida, the music scene is so big. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a lot of healthy competition.
Yeah.
We had bands that would do bad things to other bands to get their band where they needed to. I come up here in 2000 and I realized that you guys actually have a music community where other bands go out to support the other guys and not to, make fun of them.
Yeah.
They're there because they're like, oh,
Yep.
I want to go see my friend's band play. It's actually an amazing community here.
For as small as it is, that's why I like it. It's really not, but that's why I love it here. Because I mean, you have a bunch of local guys out there, and like you said, everybody comes out to support each other. And music brings everybody together. I don't care. Just today I was shopping at Hy-Vee, and Cheap Trick was over the little PA thing. I was walking around singing along to that, and then some chick, she had to be probably in her 40s or 50s, oh, you like Cheap Trick? I'm like, who doesn't like Cheap Trick? And so we had a conversation for 10 minutes in the middle of the frozen food aisle. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just, it brings complete strangers together, and you end up making friends from doing it. I've met friends that I've been friends with for 10 years from going to local shows.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? So I think it's brilliant. I love it.
Kind of meet the same type of people that love what we do, and Nez, I think with your goal with help bringing us in and help starting this the Quad City
Music lovers,
Lovers,
collectors, and traders.
page and helping us out with the Side C podcast. I think that your goal is to kind of get that back and that sense of love for music back going again, and that's why I support this.
Well, I'm no musician, but I've been a lover of music ever since I was a 5-year-old kid, and I was over at my aunt's house spending the night, and there was the world premiere of Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
Oh my God, I watched that when I was a kid.
Right, that was a world premiere of it.
I was glued to the TV for that.
And it caught me hook, line, and sinker. Now, it also helped that my dad, being the musician he was as a teenager, my dad listened to some fantastic music. He listened to Grand Funk Railroad, the Guess Who, of course, the Stones and the Beatles.
Yeah.
And there's some bands that he listened to that I'm not quite fond of, but most of the stuff that my dad listened to when I was a kid was heavily influenced me. My thing was, in my neighborhood, was full of kids, but we were all baseball, basketball, and football players, and that's just what ruled the roost. I mean, I didn't have anybody, and all those other guys were fans of hip hop. I was the only kid, and I didn't have anybody to niche in with and
talk rock with.
Right, so I just became a collector of music instead.
Right on.
You know?
Well,
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Hey, that's why I'm glad we do something like this, and hopefully our reach will get out here, further, because I like what we do here, and last week's topic was pretty fun, and I'm glad that's up. The new episode, Side C, episode 6 is up today. It was up today, a little snafu on my end, but it is up, talking about our guilty pleasures, so go give that one a listen. But
Oh boy.
so, yeah, I bet you
Wait. What's the guilty pleasure for you? While we on the topic?
Guitars, man.
guitars.
Well, like-
Guitars and G.I. Joes.
Is there a band that's a guilty pleasure?
Yeah,
for
that's
you?
what the conversation was.
Okay, for me, it would be Angra from Brazil.
I've never heard of it.
Oh my God, you guys need. That is the reason why I chose the singer in our topic tonight.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
Angra is been around since the early '90s. They are progressive, but also very epic. So they would definitely fall under power metal.
Okay.
They had the early singer for the first few albums. Kind of had that high squeaky voice that was popular for that style of music at that point. And then around 98, I think, 97, 98, they picked up a new guy. And one of the most powerful singers I've ever heard besides Bruce Dickinson.
Oh, wow.
This guy has got the range, he's got the power, and the band blew me away. Amazing guitar players, tone, everything. And I'm a tone ranger. I'm always chasing down good sound for my guitar.
Right.
And those guys kind of set the bar for me. And you got to listen to them, especially Temple of Shadows. It's one of their best albums.
You find that to be more of a guilty pleasure than
Oh,
just
God,
a pleasure
yeah.
pleasure?
Yeah, it's
Really?
awesome.
All
It's
right.
awesome.
Well, check
Because
that
it's
one out,
power
Angra.
metal, and
Yeah.
it's not really all that popular,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
They're the type of band that if I was living in Germany, I'd be right in with everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But here, people are like, who?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? I have no idea who this band is.
Sounds like me just like 2 minutes ago. And actually, how about this? How about we start off with today's topic? Female front ladies, person,
Vocalists, yeah.
vocalists. So,
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned here. Why don't we start off with you today, Tony? And,
Sabine Elbrock from Edenbridge. The only reason I found out about her band was because she guest sang on 2 songs on Temple of Shadows from Angra.
okay, there
And
we go.
I was completely blown away by her vocals. I was like, all right, who is this chick? I got to find out who this is, because she's an amazing smooth voice, all the way. Just belts it out. She's got power. She's matched with the singer from Angra to the point where it was like, oh, okay, I gotta find out who this is. And after a little bit of internet searching, found out about her band, and then I was hooked.
Okay.
They are, how does one say, again, along the power metal vein,
Right.
but also kind of symphonic metal. So mass musicianship, great sounding songs, very epic,
Right.
as with that genre, but also just really, really good songs. She's got a really good, strong voice, good harmonies, vocals are just goosebump kind of thing.
Okay, maybe so. What people that don't know this band, like, compare her vocals to like Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm. What would you?
Absolutely not even close.
Okay.
No, she's very operatic at points.
Okay.
So obviously a trained singer. So there's it's good. It's
Yeah.
just good. You can't find anything wrong with it. It's like the first Boston album. There's nothing wrong with anything that they've done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
So is this the only project that she's on? I mean, this is her band? or-
I believe she was in another project, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
As far as this band, as I believe she has been current since 1998. She has
Oh,
been the singer of Eden Bridge.
and where are they from?
I want to say Austria, if I
Oh.
remember correctly.
Cool.
So
So she's also got a very heavy accent in her vocals.
really,
If you listen to the songs on the Angra disc, her accent is really thick. But when you get to the Eden Bridge stuff, you can tell she's been coached because her English is much better.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
So, and every album, her English gets clearer and just stronger.
That's kind of cool to see the development of that.
Yeah,
I kind of like the accent.
do you?
though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with the gal with an accent. This is coming from a guy that loves the Spice Girls. that should have been my
There's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. But again, that is not a guilty. I love them. They're wise, but that's pretty cool. Like to kind of be able to listen to the progression of her vocals,
Yeah.
and her herself, because that as a singer shows a lot of going pretty far as
It also helps that she's got a fantastic band.
Oh,
So
okay.
the musicianship alone. I mean, if you guys get a chance, listen to some of their stuff.
Oh, definitely.
Do you have any idea how many albums they had put out?
9, I think.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness!
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
actually,
Impressive.
there's quite a few actually.
Yeah.
Discography. Hang on here, I'll tell
Well,
you.
I mean, probably like they're probably a big hit, over there. In,
8. I was close.
okay. 8 of them.
And 2 live albums.
Oh,
So
cool. I love me some live albums too,
Yeah.
as long as they're actually live.
I wonder,
which is
I mean,
hard.
Have you ever heard her sing live? Have you seen her sing live?
no,
Or,
only on YouTube.
like YouTube. But
Yeah.
how's that though?
Excellent.
Really,
She's really good.
good stage presence.
There's a couple of live shows. One of them with one of their bigger songs, "Higher." I think it's actually the only song that actually has a music video
Okay.
that I've seen here in the States. I saw a live version of that, and it was spot on.
Oh, wow.
She was
Awesome.
right on it the whole time. I mean, she is a trained vocalist. You can definitely hear it in the way she presents herself as a singer, and in the live stuff, it was evident. It's like Jeff Tate. It's
Yeah.
one of those people. It's like, oh wow, okay, you
Yeah.
hit it every
you can
time
still
live.
hit it right.
So this is a case where you feel comfortable in saying that she's probably maybe one of your favorite front ladies.
I would say absolutely.
Front women, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty neat, and I think a lot of them. There's a lot out there than we think. So
Now, do they tour the U.S. much?
Never, not that I know of.
ever, huh?
Never. Oh, bummer.
There's when I was in a band called Wraith in the '90s, and we were signed and we toured, and we did Power Mad Festival. If you guys have ever heard of that, it's mostly we were signed on an independent label, and basically what it was a touring circus of 30 bands, and the idea was to put all of these bands in front of the majors, and every time we would play a show, there would be guys from Roadrunner and things like that
Yeah.
there. And they would pick up bands as they went. Well, I mean, we
cool.
played with Jag Panzer, we played
cool.
with just tons and tons of bands, and it was just a rolling circus. Is the
Yeah,
best
man,
way to
literally.
explain it. But yeah, no, and see now I'm off topic.
Yeah, no, we do it. We
This
do
is
it
what
all
it's
the
all
time.
about,
We
yeah.
got some time. So,
Yeah, definitely. This is what this is all about.
But I can kind of rope us back in here because I think a lot of what kind of went into thinking about this topic specifically was, well, for mine specifically was stage presence. The live performances, the stuff that really make a lead singer, who they are. You see somebody like a Scott Wheatland dancing around like a snake, like you said earlier, and a David Lee Roth. But and thank you for that one, Tony. That was a really good one, and I'm excited to listen. So, but I'll go ahead and jump into mine since I'm talking about this kind of stuff. And I went ahead and went with Stevie Nicks because I adore that woman. Like she to me.
Not a fan?
You're not a fan, or
I did 2 songs for her down in South Florida.
You did?
I'm a studio guy.
Okay.
And what I wound up doing was she had fired the entire band,
ooh,
and this was at the Gibbs family studio in Star Island in Miami.
okay.
And I knew the lady that was her assistant,
Mm-hmm.
and that got me into the Rolodex, and that got the call after a few people couldn't make it. So
Sure.
they had me come down and do 2 songs on which I don't even think made it onto the album at that point.
Yeah.
All I had to do was play guitar on a couple tracks, not a big deal. They're like, as soon as I walked in the door, they were, don't look at her, Don't talk to her.
Really?
Don't acknowledge her. If she says something to you, walk away.
Really? Like for your own safety, maybe?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Apparently, she was a real bear to work with. So.
Really? But what was your overall experience like? Did you?
I
end up-
didn't talk to her.
Nothing.
Nothing. I was in the control room with my guitar and sheet music, and they said, "You play here, you do this, you get money, you leave."
That's it.
I was like, "Okay."
So you didn't get a.
What? Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
go for it, Jake. I mean,
No. What album was it supposed to be for?
It was one of the solo albums that she was doing. So this was '96.
Oh, okay.
So it had to be
so
'96.
she was already.
Is that when she finally got cleaned up?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe that's why she was a bear.
And she was as big as a house, man.
Oh
She
yeah.
was as
well-
big as a house at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, cocaine's a hell of a drug, and we're not
Yeah.
doing it. I mean,
No, I mean, and it kind of leads into like, I mean, all the posts. I mean, we all know, everybody pretty much knows about Stevie Nicks. I mean, post Fleetwood Mac stuff really hit it off for her. I mean, she started off with that Belladonna album, 1981. It reached platinum in like 3 months, and to date, it's quadruple platinum. So, and she's still even doing work all the way up until last year. She came out with an album called 24 Karat Gold, Songs from the Vault. That it looked like there was a lot of other collaborations with other musicians and producers and stuff, but she did have a track with Lady Antebellum and Vanessa Carlton, and I thought that was kind of. I remember her promoting this on the morning shows, and she actually she played in front of like the big park, GMA does like their summer concert series. So I was kind of stoked about that, because like I said, I mean that's interesting. That doesn't surprise me though. Like it is interesting to hear, but it doesn't surprise me because, like you said, we all know her use of drugs is very rampant at one point, and if she was clean at the time, maybe maybe she was just on that edge, like,
don't mess with me.
don't freaking talk to me, like, oh.
The cocaine nose job got to her.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
I mean, I'd like to see. She's probably got a quarter-size hole in her cartilage or something. Maybe
Yeah,
no cartilage
she's-
at all.
The thing too is that what really kind of rubbed me the wrong way about her when they did the Fleetwood Mac documentary, and then obviously that it was her and Lindsey Buckingham that were the
focus.
They were the couple.
Yeah.
And then somehow there was some backstabbing going on. Then she's all of a sudden she's with Mick Fleetwood in a sexual type thing.
That
I was like going.
was-
Where was the focus ever on the music at this time, or was
No.
it to get Stevie, or what was it? I
I
never
mean,
understood it.
It could. I mean, it could have just been, maybe the height of everything. I mean, because they got pretty big. What was it, around like 75? Well, that's when they joined. Because Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, they had that little project from like 1972 to 1974 that I saw. So, but even before that, they had a little band called Fritz with a couple other classmates and stuff from like what was it, San Jose area or something, wherever they went to school at, and that's where that whole Buckingham Nicks thing started. So I mean, I was reading that they opened for Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, which kind of explains a little bit of how the stage presence of Stevie Nicks. She said that that's where she got her inspiration from, like Joplin and this other gal named Grace Slick.
Yep, from
Okay.
Jefferson Starship.
Yep, Jefferson Starship,
I was like, how
Jefferson
can you-
Airplane, yeah.
Jefferson Airplane,
Yeah.
Jefferson Starship, then Starship in the
Starship,
80s.
yeah.
Yeah, Grace Slick was actually a really good singer too,
Yeah.
but also a complete train wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now she's like some creepy old cat lady that lives somewhere downtown New York. She is. She like, is a cat herder. She's got all these like stray cats living around her apartment. It's really creepy. They the 60 Minutes came in and did a thing with her, and it was just like she's like one of those old ladies got all these cats. And she's like sitting in a rocking chair knitting a satchel or something. It was just
Oh
really
my
bizarre.
God.
Yeah.
Your standard cat lady.
Yep.
You guys
Oh.
got to do one show on a bizarre Where Are They Now?
Ooh.
That would be really cool, actually. I'm completely down for one of
Yeah,
those.
maybe Brett Michaels is a carny somewhere. I don't know. There you go. That's a good one.
Well, I told Nez, his daughter just went to see Blue Man Group. The drummer, the original drummer from Slaughter, drums for Blue Man Group now.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Instead of touring with Slaughter, that's his moneymaker now. He does Blue Man Group.
Well, at least he knows he's got a gig.
Yeah.
Well, the guitar player from Racer X back in the 80s, Bruce Boulay,
Yeah.
was actually doing porn music for a long time.
Really?
Yes.
So he's the one that.
I have no idea how you can even get your hands on some of those tracks.
Yeah, like, how does one come across that gig? Like, oh, you're gonna make adult film music.
I don't even know, man.
As long as I make my money, I'm good.
But that's a fantastic.
That is a good
Where'd you
topic.
wind up?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You went from playing with this talented, over-the-top guitar player,
Yeah.
Paul Gilbert, and now you're playing porn music.
I guess it's better than succumbing to having to do porn.
That would, yeah.
You know?
That,
Or
we're
David
gonna have
Lee
to do our
Roth being
digging
a
on that one.
PMT.
Guys.
Right? Yeah.
I like that one.
All right, back to the song. Why am I the one that always has to say that?
You're roping us in because we have
No,
a good time.
we gotta get that.
I have a feeling if we had like just a nice night, no recording, we'd probably be out all night.
Yeah,
So,
we would do.
but here's one of the things that gets me about Stevie Nicks, the rumors of witchcraft and like her wizardry or whatever. I know we used that earlier. That like intrigues me so much because like, how does one get accused of that? Like, probably because people are seeing these bedazzled things and she's doing these weird little dances. And,
Probably a Wiccan.
yeah, that's what she is. She practices Wicca, and I think a lot of people came to the forefront about that, like pretty pissed off. Like, you're shoving this down her throat. She wasn't. I don't think she was. I mean, do you feel that she was?
Did you see her in American Horror Story?
She
That
was
probably
the witch.
Yeah, that
it
probably
helped it out.
regained it again. Yeah.
Because she was
my
in
gosh.
the season of American Horror Story was with Wiccan or Witch's Coven or something. So, and I was like super, like, oh my God, Stevie Nicks, and she still looks beautiful. Like, even at 66, I would do bad things to her, like hold her hand and buy her flowers and take her out for walks and dinners.
Oh my god.
But I mean, I just thought that was.
Would you take her to a chickenista?
Yeah, of course
right.
I would. She probably have better dance moves than half the people there, man, with her entrancing. So, I mean, I think it's. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but Rolling Stone, pretty much dubbed her the reigning queen of rock and roll. Now, this could be pretty debatable, I'm sure.
I wouldn't even. But to me, Fleetwood Mac isn't rock. I mean, it's rock.
Yeah,
it's rock, but it's not.
Do you think it's
If you
more
want to
old
talk
people
rock, if you want to go that far back with it, let's talk Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Pat Benatar. Or,
There's somebody with a strong voice who's still out there doing.
Oh yeah,
Or even like Joan Jett too. I mean,
Men's so. I
I
think
mean-
Joan Jett, as far as vocal range goes, I
Yeah.
would pick her over Joan Jett any
Okay.
day.
yeah.
But-
Yeah, I
But
mean,
the thing with Pat Benatar, I'm really upset. I missed her at Riot Fest. She was playing during some other one, and I run into my friend, and she's like, "You should have went to the Pat Benatar part." I was like, "We were watching. I can't remember who we were watching, but that's the one thing about festival shows. Somebody's gonna,
miss
cross
some.
time. So, but
Let's not go there again.
yeah, I know, whatever. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I would. Pat Benatar's a great argument. I mean, like I said, it's very debatable, but
well,
people at Rolling Stone, I mean,
they're
know what
all
doing,
jack
so.
offs. They really are.
Jack-offs that get paid to jack off.
Yeah, they get to jack off over anybody who wants to give them. Yeah, I don't like it. They just stroke anybody they can.
But
Is this like Eddie Trunk?
There you go. All right, there you
Oh,
go.
he's from my hometown.
Is he really?
Oh, there you go.
Those
Whoa.
guys are all. I'm from Hollywood, Florida,
Hollywood, Florida.
So
which
his
is next to Sunrise, Florida, which is where he's from, if I remember correctly.
But I thought he claims that he's from Jersey.
I thought he was
On
from
that
South
metal
Florida.
show, he claims that he's from Jersey.
Okay, one of the guys on there is from my hometown.
Ah.
Oh, really?
So, because they're always talking about the Sunrise Musical Theater and the Hollywood Sportatorium. Those are all places that I went to
Yeah.
all in the '80s to go see. As a matter of fact, on your webpage talking about Rat versus who's
Alice Cooper.
Alice
Oh, yeah, Alice
Cooper.
Cooper,
I mean,
yeah.
that's one of those shows that I was at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, hey,
Hollywood, Florida.
well, that one was mine. I mean, very again, it can be contested that there's obviously other people with other opinions, but she's my queen. I love Stevie Nicks, so I have no problem picking her as one of my favorites. As far I love that Rumors album's just amazing, and I don't
yeah,
care for
that's
Christine, whatever her name is, McVeigh or the chick, the other chick,
The other chick.
the other Fleetwood Mac chick.
Oh God, I bet Hart goes through that all the time.
Yeah.
Nancy and who?
Yeah. Exactly. So, what do you got for us, Jake?
I went a little bit, I guess, newer school since
Yeah,
I already
yeah.
used one of my guilty pleasures. You guys made me kind of scramble here.
Yeah.
So I went with Alanis Morissette.
Oh yes.
She's just, I don't know. She's an angry, pissed off chicken on Jagged Little Pill, and I like that.
Yeah.
And she did a lot of stuff up in Canada before that record came out. She did 2 records up there and did some stuff in Toronto and stuff like that.
She was on You Can't Do That on television, too.
Yeah, yep. She's kind of
She was nice then.
Yeah. Yeah, before she got angry.
Well, but her music up in Canada before the Jagged Little Pill was more dance music.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. It was like she's compared to Tiffany.
Yep.
Up there.
Oh man. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a Robin Sparkles if you watch
Yeah,
How I Met Your
okay.
Mother.
Look
yeah.
at the era that album came
Yeah,
out.
it was like 87, 85, 86 is when she
Was
did that earlier
The,
stuff.
the Canadian stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was only released in Canada, obviously. Then her manager at the time told her that she needed to move to Toronto.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Victor's chugging down a juice box right now.
It was a rough night last night. Anyway, sorry, I won't do it anymore.
You're fine. This is awesome.
Such a
But yeah, she was convinced to move to Toronto to try to further her career, and obviously it helped because the next record she did was Jagged Little Pill.
Oh yeah.
And that thing just blew up everywhere.
What year did that come out?
It was 94, 93?
94, yeah, 93, 94,
yeah.
somewhere. It was when, let's put it this way, the people that played on that record and toured with her was Dave Navarro. Dave Navarro played a couple songs on there. So did Flea.
Did he?
Yep, Flea played actually on You Ought to Know.
Oh.
I know Eric Avery did some stuff for her later on.
Yep. Her studio musician, guitar player that played most everything was a guy named Glenn Ballard, who played with everybody from Michael Jackson to POD to Ringo Starr, Lisa Marie Presley, Aerosmith, No Doubt. So he was like all over the place. The drummer played with Slash, Snake Pit, and Alice Cooper. But I mean, it sold 33 million.
It was really popular. Didn't
The
it?
second highest female artist record, however you want to word it,
Yeah.
behind
Whitney Houston,
no.
Mariah Carey.
No. What's that? Stupid country. Shania Twain.
Shania Twain?
Yeah,
Oh.
Come On Over, or whatever that record was called.
Yeah.
So second behind that, I don't know. She's done 8 records. I mean, obviously she's still surviving off that. You Ought to Know.
I wonder how much anger she has to muster.
Well, that whole album, that was a record company image. They told her, there was a document. Don't wash your hair.
Yeah.
Dress in clothes that are too big for you.
Yeah, it was like
It was the grunge movement.
yeah,
It was the
unkept.
Seattle movement.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, she had Taylor Hawkins from Foo Fighters drumming with her before Foo Fighters did anything.
Right.
Wow. So I mean, she's done huge stuff up in Canada. She's won 16 Juno Awards.
Yeah. Oh, that's their
You know,
big.
that's
like
their-
big
that's-
thing.
yeah, that's their big
Pretty
thing.
much,
She's won 7 Golden Globes down here. She's done movies. She's done acting. Obviously, we were
Yeah.
just talking about that earlier. Up in Canada, she had spots on TV shows like Nip Tuck and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Now, hold on a second. Now, the funny thing about this album, though, is about who it's written about, right?
Oh yeah, the
Which is-
song.
Or that one song.
What's the name of that? You Ought to Know.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
because
Yeah, is it You Ought to Know?
yeah,
Yeah.
because talk about doing stuff in the movie
movie
theater.
theater.
kitchen table.
Yeah. It's written about Uncle Joey.
Dave
Uncle Joe.
Coulier.
Dave
Yep.
Coulier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I learned something today.
Yeah, it's
Isn't that strange? Like she really got pissed off.
yeah.
Enough to write a song. So
like a murdering song, basically.
like I mean when that revelation came out, because obviously I didn't really care about back then about knowing what the song was about.
Right.
Just saw this hot chick, singing on my MTV at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was written about Dave Coulier. I was like, what? Uncle Joey? You mean the guy that does Ranger Rick?
Why would she ever want to admit to that?
That's but like
He's a Canadian treasure too.
yeah, he is a Canadian.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like we were talking about last week's episode. I love personal lyrics. I like lyrics that actually mean shit, not just something that something jizzed out on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that, and she writes her own shit, and it's all personal.
Yep.
And I enjoy that. I like get to know what the hell somebody's going through via song, because
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 somebody relates to it. Not necessarily I relate to shit that a 18-year-old chick's going through at the time,
like
but
banging Dave Coulier.
yeah, not my forte.
No.
But that's you guys kind of threw this one on me quick, so I had to come up with something. So
That's a good one.
I
Good
mean,
choice.
I didn't know this though. She toured in support of Rolling Stones.
Really?
During their Bigger Bang tour, which came out like
Yep.
04, 05, something like that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I mean, she's played with a lot of people. She's got like a lot of respect. Obviously, in Canada, she's like
But yeah, one of
she's
those.
like a queen up there. So, but I mean, I don't know. I don't really have very much more on her.
Oh,
She's
that's
just-
cool, man. I mean, well, no, wasn't who was that other chick that was kind of? She was out there around the same time. She was just as weird, like
Is that
weirder.
that Four Non-Blondes girl?
Is it,
Um,
oh yeah, what's going on? Hey, what's
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
Fiona Apple.
There was a lot of those. There wasn't there?
No, but they were like
yeah.
the two main ones that I got
Yeah,
confused.
she's the one that did that big like rant on MTV.
Tiffany. Was it Tiffany at that time?
No, Fiona Apple was the one that criminal song.
Yeah,
And there was that
Okay.
Meredith Brooks, I'm a bitch.
Meredith Brooks.
Oh,
Remember that? That whole
I do remember that.
female empowerment.
I like
Yeah.
how we're like, oh yeah, that era of
Yeah.
music. That's when the chicks ruled and they wanted to say everything, and it worked for like a few months, I guess. So. But Fiona, like I said, it was Fiona Apple. And was that kind of sexist? I'm sorry. I don't want to cause a stir on the page anymore.
Well, yeah, that's funny that you talk about this. Is that when I was doing my undergrad at Western, in my fraternity, it was a fraternity brother of mine. He was dating a gal that was studying the feminist movement, all this, and I told him, I said, I'm not really understanding that. Hold on, you're her boyfriend and she's a feminist? What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't even think that feminists had boyfriends.
Right.
Don't they just have their hands?
Are you gonna marry her and you're gonna take her last name?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, now we're treading. I like it.
So, we can debate about this all you want. I'm not going to say much other than, I won't say anything
Power
else.
to the people.
Power to the people. Man. Our opinions are our opinions, so don't take them too seriously. No. It's okay. We know if you get upset. But anyway, so
Boo-hoo.
that's
Sorry.
a good one.
Hey, opinions are opinions. Everybody has them. Right?
Yeah, yes, this is right, and different ways to express them. But anyways, here we try to keep things neutral, and we definitely like everybody's input on everything. We love constructive criticism. Like as we always say, man, we want to hear what you guys want to hear. So help us out. And then with the female, when did this one come about? And as were we talking about it at work one time? Were we like maybe female singers or?
Well, was it our last podcast with Eric Gustafson? He said something to us after the podcast. He's like, "You should do female vocalists." And we're like,
Awesome.
wow.
You know him?
You know him too.
Yeah.
He's a good friend.
And we're like, hey, that's a really good idea, because majority of the stuff I listen to is not female based. But
Yeah.
Right.
But so your pick though is very interesting.
well, you guys know that I always pick things that are not going to be something that are going to be widely talked about or
The Library of Forgotten.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
And I don't know if you guys are are familiar with the whole trip hop, electronica, R&B movement in Europe, and I'm listening to it probably more consistently than anything else these days.
At the moment.
At the moment, and Morcheeba is a band I've been listening to probably for I would guess the last 4 or 5 years. And the reason why I picked them is obviously because they're in my heavy rotation anyway. It was a band started by Paul and Ross Godfrey, and Sky Edwards was their lead vocalist. And it's a kind of an interesting story. The band was started in 1995, and they had the brothers. One, Paul Godfrey is the DJ. He does all the DJ work, and then Ross is the multi-instrumentalist. So he probably plays all the instruments on every album, per se. Anyway, as the story goes with Morcheeba, they had quite a bit of success in Europe. Their first album called "Who Can You Trust?" It was kind of like a land breaking or movement with this first album. In 1996, it had pretty good appeal in Europe, and then it went from in 1998, their second album, Big Calm. It kind of moved away from that trip hop sound the first album came out with, and then they kind of went into more of a pop sound, even though I found that the first two albums were very similar sounding. It didn't seem like until it was 2000 they came out with an album called Fragments of Freedom, and this album was was made totally geared for top 40 radio,
Okay.
and it fell flat on its face with the critics.
Right.
But it was really for the people that were listening to it on the radio. Oh, they loved it. It sounded nothing like the first two albums, and I own it, and I can't stand it. I'm like, and I've tried to say, okay, I'm going to give it another try. I'm going to try it to do this again. And by song number 2, I cannot do this. I can't do this. They totally missed their whole sound to go to the top 40 movement.
Yeah.
So it was more of just like an American R&B sound to it, and it was god awful. So anyway, in 2003, the band came and they did a tour on their 4th album, and that album was called Triangle, and it was the Triangle album was back to the sound of their roots.
Initially came back.
Right. Well, after the Triangle tour was over with, the Gottfried brothers decided that this was it. The band is over with. They were burned out. They were touring all the time, making new material, touring, and so Sky Edwards was under the impression that, okay, well, I'm done. This band is over with. So she started her own solo career, and then a year later, the two brothers reunited again, and they missed the creative work of Morcheeba, not telling Sky Edwards that the band was coming back together again.
Oh, wow.
And so, with that being said, they came out with a band called The Antidote, and they employed a new lead singer. Her name was Daisy Marte. She lasted through the recording of the album, and this was the first album that I had heard Morcheeba. This album right here, The Antidote. I had no idea that Sky Edwards was the original singer.
Yeah.
So anyway, she recorded the album, and then she had a falling out with the band members, and supposedly, the rumor was, and I don't want to give out false information, but it was a sexual harassment type of thing.
Ooh.
Among brothers
We
to
did
the
talk
singer.
about this, yeah.
Right, so that's what I can tell you. So they were touring when this happened. She left the band during the middle of the tour. They employed a lead singer named Jody Sternberg, and all she did was sing for them for the rest of the tour. And as this happened, Daisy Marte then sued the band,
Yeah.
and it really never has come to fruition whether or not that she won the lawsuit or not. But that being said, the band in 2008 released an album called Dive Deep, and where they employed how many singers was they employed Judy Zook, who was a singer for Eric Clapton back in the 70s, some
cool.
of the stuff. Thomas Dabidal, he's a blues singer from Europe, and Bradley Burgess, who's also a lead vocalist. So they did males and females on this album, which is it's a great album. And then they also employed a Korean American rapper named Cool Calm Pete for a song. Yeah.
Cool, calm Pete.
And then they also there was another singer, a French singer. Her name is Amanda Zamolo for that album. Good album. I enjoy it because it was very diverse. You had different female singers, different male singers on it. It was something different, but it wasn't going to last. So the band finally came back with Sky Edwards after this album, and then 2009 they got back together again. And then in 2010 they released an album called Blood Like Lemonade on PIAS Records in 2010. It was produced by Paul Gottfried and has described the album as being a warm, fuzzy blanket of psychedelia.
So you're pretty much an ex.
Well, it's kind of cool because they're more of a darker themed band. It was a very dark album. And then in 2013, they released their most recent album called Head Up High. And they toured on that one all through 2013 through 2014. And then on that tour, they employed obviously some musicians: Steve Gordon on bass, Richard Milner on keyboards, and Martin Carling on drums, and James Anthony on synthesizers, so on keyboards. So
when they came back, 2009?
Mm-hmm.
How did that sound compared to back when they, first had the first couple albums?
it was like right back to the original, the roots of the band. Like they had that hiccup of Fragments of Freedom where they wanted to go top 40, and it just did not work.
So they got back to basics with their newer.
Yep.
So
yep.
what have they? Is that the only thing they've released since?
Well, then in 2013, Head Up High
Okay.
was released, and supposedly they're in the studio, doing their own thing again,
So,
making another
they're
album.
back
So.
with Sky Edwards.
Sky Edwards is back, and Sky Edwards' solo stuff is very similar to what the roots of what the early Morcheeba stuff was. So it's something that most people haven't heard here in the good old Quad Cities. I highly suggest you guys get on YouTube and check some of the stuff out. It's different. It's something that you're not going to raise two fingers up in the air and say rock on.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like we had this conversation on the last podcast. You know, I'm a heavy metal, hard rock, punk rock guy my whole life, but I've just found that in my olden years, or I'm getting older in my 40s, that I have to do something different besides listening to heavier stuff. So, and it's just something that my wife and I can listen to, and we can agree upon it. And when I'm painting downstairs down here, you can tell when I'm working on a painting and I'm listening to Morcheeba, my stuff is a lot cleaner. If I try to put in Anthrax, State of Euphoria, it's not as crisp. It's not as, the painting is not as clean.
You notice where you messed up on the painting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hold that thought really quick, Eric, because we're going to talk about an article that I think you posted the other day. But really quick to finish up on the Morcheeba thing, I remember you, I think last summer, you had introduced me to them, and you threw on one of their discs, and I thought it was really good. I know what you're talking about, because it's something that is very easy to listen to. That you're right, it is different, but it's not a bad different. It's a good different,
Right.
and that's the kind of stuff that we're looking to find nowadays. I mean, and like we were saying with Angra and what's her name, your singer that you picked,
Oh God, I forgot.
Eden what?
Eden Bridges.
Bridges.
But yeah, I mean,
Can't say her name half the time.
yeah, I'm very interested to hear her, and I'm always down when Nesbitt puts that stuff on. And of course, Jagged Little Pill's always it's always a good listen.
Well, the Morcheeba stuff is it's so broad, but I always refer to them as it's the Europeans' way of doing R&B, and it's got some electronica tidbits going on to it. Her voice is very soulful. People have also bracketed into that alternative rock. They pigeonhole it, so it's a little bit everywhere. And there's another genre I've never heard of it before, but they call it down tempo. So, if you want something different to listen to, and if you want to just kick, I would have to say it would be comparable to in the 80s to what the Cocteau Twins were doing in the 80s. If you were a Cocteau Twins fan, which I am. I don't know if anybody else is, but it would be like the modern day, their version of what the Cocteau Twins were trying to do back in the 80s.
Interesting. Now let me go back to that point that you were making with your tastes kind of didn't change, because you still love your heavy, hard stuff. But you had posted an article on the Quad Cities music traders, lovers, collectors.
Oh,
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
About how when about 33 is when people stop kind of listening to newer stuff. Is that
I call total bullshit.
you do? Okay, so explain why do you feel that way, there, Tony?
Okay, this is kind of probably due to my musician background.
Sure.
My teacher was actually a jazz teacher, Vincent Berdice. Wrote for Mel Bay, wrote for all these other companies. I had him from 8 years old through college.
Oh, wow.
So he was not only my teacher, he was also my professor at college. And the one thing he instilled was there's always good music. Listen to everything, because you'll learn something from it. So my entire life has been, I want to listen to this. This is new. I want to hear this. This is new. I'm always looking for and listening for new music.
Right.
Whether I like it, okay, fine, but at least I've given it a chance and I've listened to it.
Gave it a fair shake.
I don't think that has anything to do with age. Okay. It has to do with, I think, maybe people getting too complacent and not wanting to go find something new.
Okay.
I agree with that 100%.
There's, and no offense to the people that I meet through my profession, but there are guys that just haven't left the 70s yet, man.
Really?
And they're still, that's all they talk about is the musicianship of the guys that they grew up listening to, but they never made it past that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, and I think if you're a musician or a music lover, you're always going to find something new and good about something new that's out there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and here's my input on this part of it is that I know I catch myself a lot of times always like trying to just Googling things when it has to do with newer metal bands or rock bands or whatever else, and a great source to find new metal bands or any type of genre of metal hard rock is on Rise Above Records, their website, and it's all basically UK stuff. You know, the metal bands from there. That I believe that the owner of Rise Above Records was either a member of Carnivore or Carcass or some band like that. Well, anyway, it's a lot of doom stuff. I believe Ghost is on that label. Astra is on that label. Maybe Rival Sons. I'm not quite sure if they are, but it's a great source to find new metal.
Okay. See, a great source for me is my students.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when they come in, they're like, "Well, I want to learn this." Okay, let me hear it.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's sit down and listen to it.
Oh, what
and
is
I
that
find
about?
out about all kinds of new bands just from the kids that walk through the door. And I don't just teach kids; I teach adults. So they're always, "Hey, have you ever heard these guys?" No. Okay. I had no idea who the hell Kim Mitchell was until I had a Canadian student. Now I know.
Yeah, and that's a good position to be in, you know, being able to learn, because I agree about, you know, always be on the lookout and on the listen for something new, but I know there are some people though that just don't want to do that, you know.
No, they don't.
No.
There
They
are
really-
some that just they want to listen to what they know what they like. And that's
Nobody's ever going to be as good as Pete Townsend. I'm not going to even bother listening to them or
Yeah.
stuff like
You know,
that.
and see, one of my favorite things to do is like once I get into a band, is find out what else they've done
Yeah.
or what else is out there. Because 9 times out of 10, the first thing you listen to by somebody isn't the first thing they've ever done.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just whatever you came across. And me being into this, like the music I was into when I was younger was definitely stuff that was more of like what my dad and my dad's friends listened to.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like you stick with that for a while, then you kind of just branch out with people. Like high school is a big change for me because like I see people walking down the aisles and stuff with like Guided by Voices is one of my all-time favorite bands now, and I saw some kid I've never talked to in my life wearing a Guided by Voices. I was like, Guided by Voices, that sounds awesome. Started talking to the kid, and it's like nothing I ever listened to at that time. It was all this lo-fi stuff, but they had polished stuff too, very different. And I swear to you, if you look at my record collection, I got 100 CDs, all Guided by Voices, because the dude doesn't stop. It's
Yeah, just
insane.
nothing but
Yeah,
a whole row of them. Right?
It's insane, you know. And I think if you're so pompous enough to stay in one era or one decade or one genre of music, you're missing out on so much great music that it's actually really sad. I mean, I go from listening to like, you know, obviously like Guns N' Roses, stuff like that, but I can listen to like this guy named Elliott Smith who's just nothing but him and a guitar.
Isn't he? Was he here or is he coming back here?
Oh, he's dead, so he ain't going
No,
nowhere.
oh, okay, never mind. I'm thinking of some other Elliot than Elliot.
William Elliott Whitmore is who
Oh,
you're thinking
okay,
of.
that's
Yes,
what I'm
yes,
thinking.
yes.
of.
And it's also along the same lines as that. You know, it's just, you got to be open.
Yeah.
You really do, because if you're missing out on stuff just because this ain't what I grew up on,
Yeah.
it's just stupid. And it's
Or
just...
it's-
and-
See, that transcends into what I do as a musician too. I learn all styles.
right.
Yeah.
So when I have people walk through the door, I've got a student, Don Cooper, who's totally in the country.
Right.
And you wouldn't know it, but I can play country.
Right.
Not a problem.
Right.
But I learned all these different styles so I could help my students progress.
Right.
And in the process, I learned new things about my instrument, and I learned new things about music that I had never heard before. So it's a constant. You have to be open-minded when it comes to music.
Yeah.
And it really, my old teacher saying, it really rings true. You will find something good in everything you listen to as far as music goes.
So I mean, aside from music being the common factor of your job and what you love to do, it definitely translates what we like to do. We like to learn new things. So I bet you hear all kinds of new stuff. You probably heard some stuff we don't even know about. So
Ooh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I don't know how big of a fan of anybody here is of Randy Rhoads or.
Oh, yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Okay. I just recently came across. I'm not a big music collector as far as vinyl, but I got my hands on something that he did when he was in high school.
Oh, cool.
Really?
His early band called Cats and Jammer Kids.
what?
It was pre-Quiet Riot.
Okay.
Cats and Jammer Kids. I think he was like maybe 14.
Really?
That's
man.
awesome.
It's like
And it's
super
all on it's an LP. I want to listen to it.
Yeah.
I don't have a record player.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
But-
sure there's like a digital version of it somewhere. Maybe,
I have
maybe
yet
like a
to
tape
find
or
it. I
nothing?
went looking.
Really?
I went looking, and I saw references about it,
Uh-huh.
but I've never seen anybody actually put something up that actually has
Yeah,
it.
I wonder if that's got to be like one of those things. It's like a unicorn. It's like, oh, you've never seen one.
Yeah.
Like, now you finally. How'd you come across that one? You just.
I found it in a yard sale pile.
Oh,
Are you serious?
no.
That is awesome.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Oh.
you flip it over in the front, it just says Cats and Jammer Kids. You flip it over in the back, and it's Randy Rhoads with a flute. And I'm
Are
like,
you kidding me?
no, it's awesome. And I'm like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
is-
that's
But
no,
I
that's
also
one. That's
got
one of
a-
those once in a lifetime.
That
finds,
sounds like
man.
like a Nez find there, man.
I've also gotten a hold of some bootleg versions of the original Quiet Riot albums.
Oh.
I was a huge Randy Rhoads fan when I was
Right.
a kid. I got to see him in '81 when I was just a little nard.
Yeah.
So that was an eye opener.
Man, that's
Well,
pretty-
you know, and that comes up to a thing too, is that there was a guy that lived across the alley from my parents. And he still lives there now, and he's a huge vinyl collector. And he was collecting vinyls.
In Rock Island.
Yeah.
Right here. Yeah.
His name's Tom, and he's probably, has, I would guess, probably close to 1,000. 1,000.
He always had that
albums.
sign out in the street on 38th.
No, he lives on 28th Street.
Okay,
so
there
it might
was-
be a different guy.
Yeah, because there was when I first moved here, there was a guy. I lived on 15th and 38th. Down that way, down by the water tower.
Sure.
And right across the street from the water tower, there was always this sign that said "Vinyl for sale, buy and trade." And you always had this sign, and you go back there in his garage, and it's just
I didn't know about that.
Oh,
no.
that's cool.
it was just vinyl heaven.
that's got to be like a
Well, anyway, as a kid, I'd go over to his house, and sometimes, I'd go over, and he'd always show me his collection, and his collection was, it's very Deep Purple and Zeppelin, and all the great stuff from the late '60s on through the '70s, '80s, and then maybe late '80s, and that's where it stopped. And he just refused to open his ears and listen to other things. He just stopped. He put the brakes on. And he quit. And he's like, I told him, I said, and many times we've had like arguments about that. I said, you inspired me to go out and collect and find, great finds and places. And I said, and you just kind of quit at a certain level. He said, well, the best music stopped then. I said, I don't agree with that. And then that's when I started, as a kid going up to the Rock Island Co-op. Co-op used to be up on 14th Avenue in Rock Island, right over by Mulkey's up there. And Greg Thompson and Bill Sharp. Bill Sharp was the manager and Greg was the assistant manager. And Greg was, we talk about Greg constantly. Hopefully, we're going to have him on here one time. And he was so diverse. I mean, he could listen to Black Flag 1 minute, and the next thing you know, we're listening to Jefferson Airplane, the Red Octopus or something like that.
Yeah, and that's
Very
what it should
diverse.
be.
I mean, he's just a diverse guy. But and Greg was very open, and but if there was something he was going to be very vocal about it.
Yeah.
But Bill Sharp, when I'm trying to get at the manager of the place for a long time, he said, all you can do is try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But who cares if somebody else doesn't like it? Just try it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are, we did the guilty pleasure thing, or the female some guys won't listen to female vocalists or whatever. Just try it. If it sounds good, then listen to it. It doesn't matter what it is. Just try it. And Bill always said, he's like, just try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Yeah, man, and I'm saying, and I have no problem throwing on my Spice Girls, so it's all good. But well, guys, I think that was a pretty informative episode. As I feel every time we do one of these, I'm loving the fact that I'm finding these new things out, and we're meeting cool people like Tony over here, man. And again, thanks for coming out, man.
no
It
problem.
was
Thank you very much. Yeah.
good
thanks.
show. So, but aside from that, hey, we're gonna be getting ready to post for some new episodes here soon. Give us ideas. I don't know what we got next, but we will talk about it soon. And like you said, hopefully Greg will jump on sometime, and we'll keep with the guests. But until then, man, you guys keep listening to the show, man, and we'll keep putting them out. We love what we do. And it's just us, just chatting about the good stuff, man. And I think you have some parting words for us there, Nez.
Well, just like Rob Zombie said, I don't try anything. I just do it.
Just do it. Just like Nike. All right, man. Well, how about those beers now? So,
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, hold on one.
All right. Whew. All right. Now we got to go relax.